My wife and our landlord tried to kick me out after their affair, but when she became paralyzed in an accident, she suddenly wanted me back. Hello, Reddit I plus here. You ever have one of those moments where you feel like the universe is playing some twisted joke on you? That was me, a year ago. I was living my life, minding my business, paying my rent on time, and being what I thought was a decent husband. Then, out of nowhere, my whole world flipped upside down. See, I was married to Sarah. We'd been together for 6 years, married for 4. We weren't perfect, but I loved her. Thought she loved me too. Turns out, while I was out busting my ass at work, she was getting real cozy with our landlord, Greg. Yeah, Greg. The greasy, always too friendly guy who owned our building. I never liked him, but I figured he was just an annoying dude with a weird sense of humor. Didn't think for a second he was sleeping with my wife. I found out the old-fashioned way, by walking in on them. Not full-on in the act, but enough. Greg was sitting at my kitchen table, drinking a beer like he lived there, while Sarah stood next to him, looking guilty as hell. I don't even remember what I said first. I just remember Greg smirking like he had won something, and Sarah stammering out excuses that made no sense. Then came the real kicker. Sarah, my wife, the woman I'd built a life with, looked me in the eye and said, "I think you should leave." Excuse me? In my own damn apartment? She had the nerve to tell me that Greg, our landlord, had offered her a better deal if I was out of the picture. He'd cut her rent in half, let her stay there with him. She actually thought I would just pack up and go like some side character in my own life. I wasn't about to fight for a woman who had already replaced me. So, I did what any self-respecting man would do. I lawyered up, got my ducks in a row, and left. Now, I won't lie. It hurt. It hurt like hell. But I moved on, got my own place, focused on work, and started rebuilding. Meanwhile, Sarah and Greg were living their fantasy life in what used to be my home. Then, 6 months later, karma came knocking. Hard. Sarah and Greg were in a car accident. Greg walked away with a broken arm. Sarah wasn't so lucky. She was paralyzed from the waist down. I didn't hear about it until she called me. Yeah, she called me. I remember staring at my phone, thinking there was no way I was seeing her name pop up. But curiosity got the better of me, and I answered. Her voice was weak, different. The confidence, the arrogance, it was all gone. She started crying almost immediately, telling me how scared she was, how Greg had bailed on her after the accident, how she had no one else to turn to. I won't lie. Part of me wanted to hang up. But another part of me, maybe the old part that used to love her, felt bad. So I listened. She begged me to come see her, said she regretted everything, said she realized how much she took me for granted, and like a fool, I went. When I got to her hospital room, she looked small, weak, not the woman I remembered. She cried when she saw me, reached for my hand, told me she loved me, said she wanted me back. I just stood there looking at her, feeling nothing. She expected me to just swoop in and save her, like nothing had ever happened. But I wasn't that guy anymore. She made her choices. She threw me away like I was nothing. And now, just because life didn't go her way, she thought she could pull me back in. I shook my head, told her no, told her I had moved on, and that she needed to figure things out on her own. She started sobbing, calling my name, begging me not to leave her like Greg did. But I walked away. That was the day I realized something. Some people only love you when they need you, and some betrayals don't deserve second chances. So yeah, life goes on. I got out, and I never looked back. And Sarah? Well, let's just say she learned the hard way that not every man is willing to be her backup plan. A year passed. I found peace in my new life, got a promotion at work, started traveling, and even met someone new, Lisa. She was everything Sarah wasn't. Kind, patient, and most importantly, loyal. It felt good to be with someone who valued me for who I was, not for what I could provide. One evening, as I was leaving work, I got a text from an unknown number. It was Sarah. I miss you. I made a mistake. Can we please talk? I stared at the message for a moment before locking my phone and tossing it into my bag. There was nothing left to say. Some chapters don't need a sequel. Some doors once closed should never be reopened. And some people, no matter how much they beg, deserve to stay exactly where they put themselves, out of your life.